So we're talking with Christy Thompson, and I just want to introduce her. And you are in the divorce business, you might as well say, right?
Right. I'm a divorce and custody mediator and paralegal.
Okay. Let me find. I'm curious. First of all, about go back before that. You know, your schooling and all that stuff. What brought you to this? I'm always curious about people about when they choose an occupation or profession, how they got into that, and what led them to that. So let's just start from the beginning. I suppose you're in school, and
I'm 49, so we don't want to go too far
we
back.
won't go back too far back. That's when they still had books.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So you're going through
cell
school.
Phone.
What was your degree in, or kind of walk us through your college, and we'll move forward from there.
Sure. All right. Yeah. So my first degree was in political science, public service.
Okay.
Very not useful. Not useful at all. I had a few sales jobs, and then I started to have children, and I have two children, and that kind of hampers your career goals.
Sure.
So I was going to go back to law school at some point. However, wow, kids are a lot of work,
Mm-hmm.
and of course I wasn't prepared for that. So then I said, well, how about I be a paralegal?
Okay.
Because that's kind of like being a lawyer, and I can still help people.
Be in the field. And,
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
totally. And so my why for wanting to be a family law attorney is that I grew up in a household that wasn't awesome, we'll just say. And so I would like to help people get out of negative
Got it.
relationships and houses.
Okay, we're going to
Awesome.
continue on when we come back for a break. Got to go out and pay some bills right now with Christy Thompson when we come back. OurHealthyHomes.com. Okay, so we went out to break. We kind of ran up against the clock there. We were going out to break. Christy Thompson was telling us about she went through college, got a degree in political science, which was worthless, and wanted to go back to law school, but she had a couple of children, and that wasn't conducive with law school, so you chose to be a paralegal. How do you just decide one day, okay, I'm a paralegal now, or do you have to go to take some classes or something?
So I went to Hamlin's paralegal program.
Okay.
I had already taken a bunch of legal studies courses my first time through college.
Okay.
So I kind of flew through it.
Okay.
And right at the end of Hamlin's paralegal program, my late husband, Carl, passed. And so I had, done informational interviews and stuff in a bunch of law firms in downtown Minneapolis.
Mhm.
But I could no longer have that 24-hour paralegal lifestyle as the only parent.
Oh,
And so then I was looking for flexible paralegal
work.
and what fell into my lap was family law.
So you went to work for a family law firm then, or?
I went to work for a family law attorney,
Okay.
and I hadn't taken family law courses in college, so I learned like half of what I know today from her.
Okay.
And then while I was working, a mediator who's also an attorney named Dan Simon contacted me, and he asked me to write the court documents for his clients.
Okay.
And I said, you'll need to talk to the attorney who I work for about that. And he wanted me to write them. And so he explained to me how I can help people through the divorce and the custody case process, people who are being reasonable. And they don't have to use attorneys.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, have a little bit less stressful job because these people are more amicable, and I can save them tons of money
Okay.
and keep them out of the traditional legal process.
So then, did you leave the gal then that you were working for, that attorney, or how does I'm trying to understand this, how this works.
Yeah, so I did work for her for a couple of years, and then I worked while I was starting out my business. And then I also worked for another attorney. I think I worked for him for maybe a year and a half while I was starting up my business because I don't like to half-ass things.
Sure.
And so I wanted to make sure I had a good understanding
All right.
of the work that I was going to be doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I felt like I could, just do this work, then I stopped working
Right.
for attorneys.
For somebody else. So then you are your own standalone business, all right?
I am
Not an attorney.
not an attorney.
Okay. And so then where are the lines there? So if someone, where do your people come from? I mean, who contacts you? How do you get customers, if you will, or clients?
So to tell you what the line is between an attorney and a paralegal, so I cannot give legal advice.
All right.
I can only give legal information.
Okay.
So I can say the law says this, the law says that.
Sure.
Okay.
Now an attorney will say to his or her one client, you need to do this, you need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I work with both parties.
Okay.
And I just tell them, this is what the law says, so let's reach agreements that are consistent with the law and what you guys have going on in your situation.
Right.
And so I don't sign the documents, I don't represent clients in court.
Okay.
And honestly, they don't need representation in court, because the court process, when you're being reasonable with each other and doing this kind of what's called joint divorce or amicable custody agreement, if you're divorcing and you don't have kids, you don't even need a hearing. No
Okay.
hearing.
All right.
And
File some papers.
Yep, you file the papers. 2 to 4 weeks later, you're divorced.
Oh.
Yeah, like that. And
So when we
Don't
fight
get any
over,
ideas.
well, there'd be a custody battle over brisket the
There
world
would
famous
be.
therapy dog.
That would cause some serious dough. Right.
Oh, and here's a fun thing. Dogs, courts do not like if you put dog custody. Like, they don't call it custody, but ownership of dogs in your documents.
They don't like that.
No.
Yeah, it's a dog.
And then
So then the people that don't have kids, that's pretty easy.
Super.
Because the people that come to you are both kind of the same mindset. They want to get it done. They kind of agree on things.
Yep.
And so then they come to you. Then if they have kids, then
yeah, and if
what does that look like?
Yeah, and if people do have kids, then you're going to file some documents again, and then about 2 months out, you're going to get a court hearing. The court hearing is going to be online, and it's going to be 10 to 20 minutes, and it's so simple. And at the end of that court hearing, you're divorced. And
Wow.
yeah, it's so simple. It's like with my services, it's like a 3-week to 3-month process. Whereas, I know Keith has been through a divorce, and a regular divorce is like anywhere from 1 to 3 years.
Okay. Dissolution of marriage. What about do you have any sense of how many of these dissolutions are amicable and how many are like World War III?
So a lot of people honestly just don't know about my service. And so
I believe that.
Yeah, so it just causes them to automatically lawyer up.
Sure.
I think I could probably help in like about 30% of the divorces in Minnesota. It's just that they, a lot of times it'll be one party comes to me first, and then they're like, now you have to convince the other person. And I'm like, well, just tell them to set up an appointment with me, and I just lay it out. I'm like, you can do it my way, or you can do it the hard way. And the hard way, you're going to spend like $10,000, $100,000 per person. My way, you're going to spend like $1,000 to $3,000 total.
And so then, like you had asked, where do your clients find you?
Oh, so Christie Legal has a website, christielegal.net. I also have a Facebook page, Christie Legal MN. Very creative.
Okay. Yeah.
And also an Instagram and a LinkedIn and all that jazz. And how they find me, as in learn about me. Not too many people learn about me online. I would say about 50% of the time, people find out, from other people.
Right.
Yeah.
Referral. Word of mouth.
Yeah.
So do you do any classes or teaching on this or coaching of other people, others who would like to get into this line of work or help people in the same manner? Is there associations that handle all this, or are you just kind of out there on your own?
As far as I know, I am the only person who does this work in Minnesota.
No kidding.
And I don't want to have a big company, so like I don't want to train others and all that. Yeah.
So then, okay, so then how is mediation? Because, I mean, everybody knows about mediation,
Yeah,
right? Like,
there are a lot of mediators.
okay, so explain the difference then.
Yeah, so a mediator will just mediate and like help people reach agreements on all of the issues in the divorce case. And then,
and that's required in our state or no?
yes, yes,
So people
absolutely.
have to go through a mediator first before they can get to the divorce.
Yes, if they want to do a conflictual divorce, they're going to have to mediate. Yep.
Okay, so can you do that piece of it or no?
I absolutely can do that as well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
if
you are-
people have lawyered
okay,
up and
okay.
they're battling it out. I
Mhm.
can also do that. It's not my favorite thing, but I can absolutely do that too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So again, then the difference then between just a mediator versus
Yeah, and so what I do is I do the mediation part plus mediators hand their clients off then to an attorney or myself to actually write up the court documents and make sure that everything, that they actually covered everything in mediation
Okay.
and that the judge is actually going to sign these documents. And then I also help them through the court process. So I prepare them for what's going to happen in court, tell them, do this, don't do this. And yeah, so I do like from beginning to end.
whereas a mediator just does from beginning to get you ready to either
And then
figure it out on your own or go to an attorney.
Yep.
And then once the mediated is done, like rather just a mediator, then they send them back to the attorneys, or what do they?
Yes.
Do? Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
And then they send them back to the attorneys who are going to charge them at least $300 an hour, whereas my fee is $135 per hour when I'm helping folks through the whole process,
Okay.
and $200 an hour when people are just doing the mediation part.
Okay. So we have.
Do
to
you have
go-
a free consultation or anything or?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So good question. So
What's the phone number or?
So yeah, let's have your contact information. What is it?
Okay, so my phone number is 651-775-7899.
We are close in phone numbers.
I'm writing that down, baby. I'm writing it down.
Okay, yeah, put it in your
And
phone.
this is our
Sure. All
Healthy
right.
Homes speed dial.
You're
Putting
not
it in there
threatening
on
me,
speed
honey.
dial. This is our Healthy Homes. You got to go out and pay some bills again. So
Not worried.
listen carefully to all the messages while I enter this phone number into my favorites. 651-775-9194. That's if you want to talk to the lovely and talented Sheila. We'll be right back after these messages. Because we have divorce is a huge, huge part of the American culture. What is it? More than about half of everyone's going to get divorced, and 60-some% of the second-timers are going to get divorced, and more people who are not getting married, but they still split up. So I'd like to just chat with you about that a little bit. The lovely and talented Sheila is raising her hand. Yes, Sheila, you may speak.
I am. Do you see a trend in the age range of divorce?
Good question.
Yeah, actually, I am surprised that there are people who I've divorced who are as young as 25.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
And, because nowadays people aren't getting married as young.
sure.
So I'm like, wow, like you got married and then you got divorced pretty much right away. And then I actually would say at least 10% of my clients have been senior citizens
Mm-hmm.
because we're living longer now. And so it's not like, oh, I'm 65, I might as well just hang in there till I pass. Well, I might live to be 90,
Right.
or even longer.
I
disagree. I disagree on the living longer. I mean
I was reading an article this week on graying. They call it the gray
Gray
divorce.
divorce,
Gray
yeah.
divorce, and it
Oh,
was
yeah.
talking just exactly about that, where kids are off,
Yep.
raised, grandkids are on the way. House is quiet, and you're looking across the kitchen table, and you're like, ooh, I don't see myself spending the next 30 years here, because I have other things or other interests. Or you find out that you had other interests for a long time, but you were being distracted by kid raising and
Well, sure. You had
work
all the
and all
activities.
that.
I mean, you were like going, and it was working because
Mm-hmm.
you weren't together, right?
Mhm.
You were together as a whole and busy, and split off and doing all these things. And then when it comes down to they're grown and gone, and now you're the only two in the house, you're like, ooh. wait a
Ooh.
minute.
So third time's a charm is what I hear. Are
And another thing with Great Divorce is that some people are using it as a last-ditch financial tool.
Interesting.
In
So,
what way?
Explain that.
Yeah, so when you are very elderly, you might need long-term care, or you might have a lot of hospital bills.
Mm-hmm.
And so one way of preserving some of the marital assets
Ah,
is to get an administrative divorce.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't mean you don't love each other anymore.
Right.
You're just legally, like two financially separate entities.
Mm-hmm.
And so then,
Living in sin the rest of your life.
well, I mean, it's just like my grandma. I mean, my grandpa died when my dad was in 8th grade.
Mhm.
So my grandma never married again because she had the railroad pension.
Right.
Oh.
So had she gotten married,
She'd lost
she
her
would have
pension.
lost the railroad pension. So I mean, she had a man. It wasn't that she didn't have a man. She did, but she would never get married again for that purpose. So it's kind of like the same thing. It's
Totally.
always protecting those whatever those assets are.
Mhm.
Yep.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, because the other option is that you're going to lose, everything except the house and the car.
That's the only way you're going to get away with it.
So let me ask you this question then: with people who are not married,
Mhm.
but are cohabitating, and they bought a house together, they may have had children together. They're totally invested like a married couple, but they never went through the ceremony and never legally got married. 10 years later, they're like, "I'm out of here." How do you work to help them unravel that as well, or how does that?
So the financial part, if they want to divide the equity in the home and they're not being amicable about it, then I would refer them to, I can try to mediate that part, but if that doesn't work, then I could send them to a real estate attorney.
Okay.
But the sharing of the children, this is very important for men to know, and this is in every state in the country. If you are an unmarried man, you have no actual rights to your children until you get a custody order, a custody and parenting time order. So when your relationship is starting to go south, you want to start talking to someone like me, and you want to hope that your child's mother is going to be reasonable and work with someone like me and create a custody and parenting time schedule that will, state when each of you is going to have the kids, who's going to pay the medical and dental, what child support's going to be, and all that jazz.
So if he doesn't have a custody and parenting agreement, or right?
Yep.
Does that mean he doesn't have to pay any child support?
Oh no.
Oh.
Oh no. Child support. The government will automatically order child support. Well, not automatically. But it's fairly easy to get the child support order. But you do need to go through if the two parties can't do something amicable with me, then it's a long drawn out process like a divorce, similar to a divorce, and it could easily cost $10,000.
Okay.
So you went through the scenario of 10. Do we have the state of Minnesota, like if you've been with somebody for so long that you're legally married?
Nope.
We don't have, but
Common
other
law
states do.
marriage. Some states. do.
Yeah, some.
But
Yeah.
there's not very many.
I don't know the answer
Okay,
to that.
okay,
Okay.
all right. But we don't have it here in
No.
Minnesota.
All right.
Okay.
Nope.
Geez, I thought we did, but okay.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, that it's guys are really SOL if be very careful, guys.
So,
Dr. Christie.
all right. So now, so call. So the real estate side of things, you would call actually all they have, if they agree.
Yeah, so if they
If they agree, call me.
Yeah,
'Cause-
Right,
Like,
right, exactly.
take
I
care
can
of it
just
for ya.
mediate with them.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
okay, you paid this much towards it. You paid this
Right.
much towards it.
Yep.
What did you guys buy the house together, or did you come into the house later on? All that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then, okay, so then I can just refer them right to you guys. Okay,
Right.
actually,
Yeah.
I didn't
Yeah.
know
If
that.
they refuse, call me because we do it all the
Because
time.
they
Oh.
got it agreed upon,
Right.
and then we work with
Right.
we
and
work
then
with them.
and then
Yep.
Oh,
we just
okay.
finished. And even with a non-married couple, same thing. We just finished up with a case, and they just agreed that this is how the proceeds were going to split. Someone brought so much money into the deal from the sale of a previous residence, and they got that back, and then they split the net difference, and it was fine because they agreed.
Oh,
Right,
okay.
right, because
It's
they
when
agree.
it's when they don't agree that it gets dicey.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. That it needs.
Yeah, then they lawyer
little
up
bit-
and
right.
they got to fight it out. But,
Yep.
um,
Exactly.
Oh, great. I
but
didn't know that.
But I'm interested to hear about the child support part of it, because then that's the next thing that even with a divorce, forget about the conversation about unmarried.
Right.
Yep.
They're married. All right. So how does the determination of the amount of support, how does that component work? Because obviously I know a lot of guys and they're all trying to figure out how they can get out of it, and they don't because they're so afraid it's going to be so expensive.
So expensive, right, to get out of this.
And they're worried about the child support part of it, because then there's 2 homes, 2 housings. They're just afraid that they can't afford it. So how does the child support part work?
Well, that's not uncommon for after a divorce or a separation, for the dad to be financially strapped. So I am well known by the Fathers' Rights Movement, Fathers Anonymous, and Shared Parenting Minnesota. And I know through my relationships with them, there are men who are living with their parents, living in cars.
Mm-hmm. Because they have to pay child support.
Yes.
They can't afford to rent an apartment.
Yeah. And so the child support is calculated based on the difference between the 2 parties' incomes, and also who pays the medical and dental insurance premium, and also how many days per month the children are with each parent. And those are the main things that determine the child support amount.
And there's a set state calculation.
Right. Yes. Those are all the components of the formula for
Okay.
the state calculator.
Okay,
Yep.
so I mean, I don't remember what the calculation was when you went through your divorce, but what's that number now? Isn't it like per kid? Like it's
Well, I can't tell you that.
Okay.
Because it's different for each, it's based on income mostly.
But it's
So-
not just a percentage.
No, well, I believe they can take only up to 25%
okay.
of your gross income.
Okay.
So that's gross, not net,
Right.
Right.
which is very different.
Yes, it
very
is.
different.
So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, that's why people get in trouble with the IRS, because it's just, I just won't pay taxes.
right. Exactly.
And
Okay.
some people do just say, hey, why don't you give me $1,000 a month?
Mm-hmm.
And then that's what I write up.
That's good. Yeah.
But yeah.
Welcome back to the program. Thanks for staying with us. This is Our Healthy Homes. OurHealthyHomes.com is the website. 651-775-9194 is the phone number to call. The lovely and talented Sheila, and she'll be happy to help you. We're speaking with Christy Thompson, and interesting conversation about divorce and mediation and child custody. What's the difference between custody and
Parenting time?
and parenting time? Yeah, I mean, what's
Yeah. So there's 2 types of custody. The first is legal custody, and that is which parent or parents have the right to make decisions about medical, dental care, schooling, and religion. So that's legal custody. Then physical custody is where, who has the children
Yeah, where do they live?
most of the time. So in Minnesota, there's either sole physical custody, which is really a misnomer because nobody solely has the children,
Mm-hmm.
but it just means that one parent has the kids more often than the others. And then there's joint physical custody, and that means they each have the kids about half the time.
So if you have joint, so I know a lot of people like to go with, I want joint physical custody because they figure, okay, that's a 50-50 deal, and it reduces the amount of child
support.
Child support.
Absolutely.
Okay. So if you're listening, you want a custody agreement,
Joint physical
and you
and
want
legal
joint
custody.
physical. All right. So then when there's an agreement on that part, it's a simple process to go through. There's formulas for all of that to enable them to move forward. Of this work that you do, what's the worst thing? What's the part you hate the most?
I would have to say when I'm dealing, because not all my clients are super amicable.
Okay.
Like, some of them
May
are
start
trying
out
to make
may
it work.
start out that way, but then it.
Well, yeah, some of them get worse over time.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
But some of them, they're doing it because, I'm much more affordable than an attorney.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the only reason why they're doing it, right?
Well,
I mean,
one other reason could be that, some people who have, toxic personalities might think that they can manipulate the situation doing mediation. And I've had a couple of really uncomfortable, not fun situations with people who are trying to do that.
Do you ever feel like you're in danger physically?
No, I used to be a corrections officer back in the day.
God.
So I know some self-defense
So you're carrying,
stuff.
you got that one strapped to your ankle.
Right.
No, I don't have a gun.
She knows how to diffuse the situation.
Oh, okay.
Well, yes, I know verbal de-escalation,
Okay.
and also like some self-defense stuff.
Okay.
And I'm really loud when I scream.
What's your favorite part?
Oh, my favorite part, of course, would be when I know that the house has been a really toxic place,
Mm-hmm.
for any number of reasons.
For either party, too.
Yeah. Oh, it could be toxic for men too.
Yes.
Like I'm not like, so just so I'm clear, I'm not like, I did grow up in a household where my adoptive father was the toxic one, but it could be the other way around.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I am just like, those two people are going to be so much better apart mentally, physically, everything. And those kids are going to be so much better, not only as kids, but also as adults. And I helped improve all of their lives. And
So
I just love it.
I have that same notion or idea about we work with a lot of divorce, a lot, and sell a lot of real estate around that breakup. And
it works really well because there's two of us, right? So there's
Right.
a man and a woman, and they feel like they both get heard, and it works really well.
it works well. So and we view it as a new beginning. I mean,
Yeah.
Right.
it is a fresh start, a new
Right.
beginning, an exciting time, because you're able to leave this environment, as you said, that's been holding you back, weighing you down, and toxic. You've been doing this for how long? How many?
I have been working in family law for 10 years this year, and I have had my business for, I believe, 8,
Okay.
like doing what I do now.
Okay, so long time.
Yeah.
Have you noticed a change in the attitude around a divorce and separation and splitting up, or is it pretty much the same as it's always been?
Well, like Sheila said, there are fewer people getting married for a whole bunch of reasons.
Mm-hmm.
And, and those relationships are even less likely to last, like maybe 10% likely or something to last. And, people are more willing to divorce nowadays because it's not like a social taboo. I have divorced people who are very, very strict Jewish, like Hasidic Jewish.
Mm-hmm.
Like people who really don't get divorced.
Mm-hmm.
But, people, more so than in the past want to be happy.
Right.
Yep. The stats. Remember, you told us the stats.
Yeah.
About like first time marriage and second time marriage.
Yeah.
Was that you that told me, or that?
Yeah.
Okay, so give us some stats on.
Yeah. So
those are just fun.
First marriage, 50% likely to end. Second, 60%, and then third and later, 70% likely. And I did some just little research on my own through a bunch of Psychology Today and whatnot articles.
Mm-hmm.
Like why is it the more divorces, it's even more likely it's going to end. Like to me that didn't make sense because it's we want to learn from our mistakes, right?
Yes, exactly.
So I was like, what? So the best that I can come up with all my reading is that either people don't really know who they are, and so if you think you're an A and A's need B's, and so you're matching with a B, but you're not actually an A, well, then you're mismatched.
Okay.
And then the other thing would be you maybe can't perceive others. And if you can't really see, that person's not really a B, that person's really a C, and I need a B,
Mm-hmm.
then yeah.
Well, and what about the percentage of people that come out of a divorce and then they get married too soon, right? I think that probably happens maybe more to women than men. I don't know. You know, like there's that.
Well, actually,
Oh, here we go.
I think that men might be a little more likely to get married again quickly because some men don't know how to do a bunch of stuff.
Sure.
And they're like, oh, like, I don't want to learn how to cook.
Careful.
And like, I don't know how to manage the household finances and the, like, all the stuff
The
that's
logistics
going on.
of everything that needs to happen.
Yeah.
And, putting the puzzle together every day and making life work every day, right? Because they went to work and they came home and everything was cooked, groceries bought, like, all the stuff, right?
Yeah. And I mean, that sounds very archaic to say, but it still is true in like, quite a few, relationships. So I would say it's like, equally likely for men or women to remarry quickly. Yeah, I have had some clients who wanted to get divorced so that they could get remarried.
So then have you had
Interesting.
Well, have you had a past client?
That's what I was just going to ask that.
Right.
Do you have any repeats?
So you have
Not
those
so far. I have had them come back to me for like custody issues.
Okay.
right, but not like they went and got married and then now they got divorced again and now they're coming, right? Like
no, but I did do a twofer though.
Okay, what's that mean?
So I divorced a gentleman and his wife, and then the gentleman's girlfriend from her husband.
Okay.
Wait, I missed that.
So
Say
that
that again.
they could get together.
So a male client, I divorced him from his wife.
Okay.
And then I divorced that male client's girlfriend from her.
Oh,
husband.
got it. Okay, that took me a minute.
So then they could get together. They're still
right.
together?
I don't know.
Okay.
Ooh.
I don't.
I'd have to
I don't
be
stalk
checking.
my clients on Facebook.
I'd have to be checking in with my clients
Yeah,
because
that-
that would just be me, right? Like, hey, are you together? For sure. Like I always like setting up people. That's like I love setting up people. So that'd be like a thing for me if I was in your job, and I'd be like, who's who, who's where, reaching out to them.
It seems to me that it's so interesting, and I like it, like I said, because when we get involved in it, you come into a situation. It's really funny, and you can tell when you walk in. You get a listing call, and they come on, we got to talk about selling the house. Okay, so you go over there. So, well, what's up? Where are you going? Where are you moving to? Because mostly people are just moving somewhere, right? And then they both kind of look at one another, and they don't know if they should. They don't know if they should say it out loud.
Yes.
They
don't know if they should tell us yet.
Right.
Right. Tell us yet.
Right.
Right. We always say there's a reason why they're selling, and then there's the real reason why they're selling.
Right.
There's always that.
Yeah,
too.
and sometimes you don't get until the listing papers are signed.
Or until the very end.
And
the
then
real
they'll,
reason.
or
Really?
until the very end. Sometimes when it comes to splitting the proceeds, that's when we first find out that there's a divorce, and it's too bad because there's a lot of work that could be done during that
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right.
during that time to prepare and because we've been through it literally hundreds of times.
Yeah.
And we have had how many people that have gotten divorced, remarried, and like how many?
Quite a few of them. I think the record is 4. I think remarried the same woman 4 times.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Sell the house, split it. They each buy one. They get back together, and that like 4 times. 4 times they did that.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Every time. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate you. This has been interesting and informative. I hope that there are people are listening or watching on YouTube or on Facebook. If you have a concern or if you've got something going on and you want just to have a chat, call either us, call Sheila at 651-775-9194 because we're always happy to hear people out. And
Hear you, connect you. Yep, have a conversation.
Move forward. Call Christy 651-775-7899. 651-775-7899. That's it for this week on Our Healthy Homes. We'll be back next week.